Kristen.
And I'm Bethany.
And this is Looking for the Middle,
the Christian Girl's Guide to Modern Dating.
We're here to help you date with confidence while honoring the Lord and to show you that your identity and contentment are in Christ. We're going to give you the tools that you need to date successfully and be set up well for success in a godly marriage.
If you've ever felt like you didn't really belong with any of the extremes in dating today, well, you're not alone. Neither did we. And that's why we're here looking for the middle.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the season finale of season 6 of Looking for the Middle. I had to
think for mental counting really
which
fast.
Season is it? Oh my gosh. I was literally telling, who was it? I guess my mom the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we're ending season 6. She's like, oh my gosh.
I know.
I know, it's crazy. But we have got, y'all, I am so excited about this episode. We've asked y'all for the last 2 weeks, well, even before then on Instagram, for y'all to send us your worst date stories, and I laughed so hard typing all of these out yesterday.
It did not disappoint.
They're so funny. Like, y'all sent in some really good ones. I mean, I feel awful for y'all, but like they're so funny.
You never really watched I Love Lucy all that much, did you?
No,
Okay.
not really.
We watched it, like I've seen every single episode. I don't even know how many times. So we watched it a ton growing up. And there is one episode where Lucy has decided she's going to write a book. I don't remember all the minute details of it, but she gets this manuscript all done and she turns, bumbling around, turns it in. I think it had all she threw it away because she thought it was awful. And then someone came back and said, oh no, we want to publish part of your book in a book on how to write a book. And she was like, so she had to go fish all the pages out and put this book back together. And then at the very end, she's like, oh, well, which part of the book is it going to be in? And the guy's like, it's going to be in the chapter entitled, Don't Let This Happen to You. So she had gone to all this trouble. And that's what I feel like this episode is.
Yes.
It's like, it's the chapter of the book. It's like, hey, don't let this happen to you.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh my gosh. If there were like an alternate title.
Yeah, right.
That could be like our subtitle for this episode. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Okay, well, before we dive into all of these fascinating stories, a couple things off the top. First of all, as y'all know, if you're not following us on social media, we would love for you to. We're almost at the 1,000 follower mark. Like we're like 15 away, I think, when we're recording this. We may hit it by the time this comes out. Who knows? But go follow us on Instagram if you haven't already. We're at LFTM_podcast. We're also on Facebook, but everything on Instagram gets pushed to Facebook. So if you only have Facebook, you're not missing anything. And then for our newsletter subscribers, just as a heads up, we won't have a newsletter tomorrow since this was kind of a special episode. There aren't a whole lot of resources.
Don't let this happen
don't
to
let
you.
this happen to you. So we're going to skip the newsletter tomorrow, and then we'll pick back up next season with this. So don't freak out if you don't
watch
get anything.
Episode of I Love Lucy.
Exactly.
As part of the newsletter.
Exactly. And then just to kind of give you an idea of what our schedule will look like over the summer and then into season 7. So we're going to take June off because we like to have time off.
Yes.
And then July we'll pick back up where we'll have a couch cast a week just to give y'all something to get back in the rhythm.
I'm going to say this now because the people will have heard it and it'll make us do it.
There you go.
We'll try to be on Instagram more in June.
There we
story
go.
more. Maybe we'll even do a live or something.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So I'm putting it out there so that you guys can be like, if it gets to like the middle of June, y'all can totally call us out and be like, hey,
where are you people?
Where's that live?
Yeah.
Because we've been kind of slackers on Instagram.
Yes. So we'll be on Instagram in June, but we'll take June off from recording. July will be Couchcast. August, we are going to be doing a month of online dating content. So we've been getting a lot of questions about our recommendations for best apps, best sites, things to do with your profile, how to talk to guys or start talking to guys or stop talking to guys, all those things. And we did some content like that for Patreon like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, a while ago.
And so we're going to update all of that, give y'all some new content, and that will be the focus for August, just kind of a fun extra month of stuff. And then we'll launch season 7 the first week of September like we always do. So
perfect.
That's the plan for the next few months. So stick around for all of that. Okay, so let's jump in, Bethany. Your question of the day is actually related.
It is. And so I figured what better way to start off this episode of the worst dates or worst? I don't know. These aren't necessarily the worst. Awkward. I hate saying worst when I mean, when you say, oh, the worst date, it makes it automatically in my head. I think, oh, that guy must have been a real jerk. And
That's true.
These are not like actually hardly any of these are stories about like, oh, this guy was a jerk. It's just like the awkward things that happen when it comes to dating.
Yes.
So let's start with ours. So Kristen, question of the day. Tell us your most awkward, funny, whatever date story.
Okay. Stories. I do have,
you have
two.
A couple? Okay.
I have two. Okay, so story number one.
Yes.
Is not as, drastically like drawn out, but I got set up with this guy when I was in college. Okay. It was one of my high school basketball teammates. Went to school with him. I was at a different school, but we went to church together. Okay. And so she was like, I think you should meet this guy. And his name is one of the names that has been X'd from who we're allowed to date moving forward. Oh,
y'all, we have a couple of names that somehow all of us in our friend group have dated someone named those names. Mm-hmm. And this is apparently Kristen's version of that.
Yep.
And so
one of the two.
I say there's two. And so we have, officially eliminated those names from being allowed for any of us to date. So like if someone comes home with a insert name here, whatever those names are, we're not going to tell you them because it gives too much away. Then one of the first, as good friends, one of the first things we always ask is, so would you be willing to change your name? And then their answer to that determines whether or not they get the friend seal of approval.
That's true. That's true. So I get set up with this guy. We start texting. We seem to hit it off pretty well. And he asks if I want to meet up at a park to for, I guess, a first date, quote unquote, to hang out. And I was like, sure.
Sounds great.
My idea of meeting up at a park is that we are going to sit at a picnic table and talk.
I'm totally envisioning picnic.
Okay, yeah. No, apparently it's like walking around the gravel track. Okay.
Ew.
Well,
you didn't wear shoes for it, did you?
I didn't wear.
Oh, no.
Not only did I not wear shoes for it, I wore black cuffed skinny jeans with the cutest little sandals, a blue ruched top with cap sleeves, and my hair was freshly curled.
And it wasn't in October either, was it?
No, it was not. And what was really terrible, because I think I still have a picture of my outfit somewhere because I sent it to my mom. I was like, I feel so cute, whatever. And this was before I knew how to brush my curls out, so it was ringlets. It was terrible. I was like, golly, Kristen. And so I show up and he is in track shorts and a t-shirt and tennis shoes because we were going to walk around the track.
Oh.
And I immediately panic. You can tell he's like, what the crap is this girl doing? And so he's like, do you have somewhere to go after this? So I just made it up saying yeah, I'm eating my something for, whatever. I don't know what I said. So we walk around the track. I feel so out of place because there are people in active wear everywhere because apparently that's what you do when you go to a park. And then we ran into some friends of his, and so it's that oh, is this your girlfriend? And that awkward oh, we're just hanging. It was terrible. And so then I left, and my mom had been like, maybe y'all can go get dinner afterwards or something. He did not ask me to go do anything afterwards.
Yeah.
And then I he's like, okay, well, then I'm like, yeah, I've got to go meet somebody. Yeah. So I went through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru and ate in my car.
That's hilarious.
And then he ghosted me 2 weeks later. So
you continued to talk to him for 2 weeks after that?
It just slowly
the slow fade.
Yeah. Gotcha. Slow fade into a ghosting. So, but I will never go on a date to a park again. I don't think ever.
Have you ever been on a date where by the end of it you were hoping he would ghost you?
Yes, I have been on a date. I've been on a couple where I'm like, oh, please don't ever talk to me again.
That whole thing just made me think of one.
Ooh.
That I was that I didn't have written down.
Let's
for
go
my
back
worst
and forth
dates.
then.
Okay.
Go.
So I met up with this guy. We talked on an app, and we realized we had mutual things not mutual things in common, but we didn't really know any of the same people, but we kind of ran in the same circles, I guess. We just never really met. So it kind of made an instant oh, you felt like you know someone more than you knew them a little bit, I think. So we had only talked for 3 or 4 days. And he was like, hey, you want to grab coffee? And I'm like, sure, let's get coffee. And I knew going in, there were several things that weren't really red flags, but there were things that I'm like, okay, we're kind of at different life stages a little bit. Like, there's just several things that I was kind of like, this might be a hindrance. So we just met up for coffee, thankfully. And it wasn't awful, but he kind of reminded me of a little man a little bit. Like, that life stage difference came into play. And so it's one of those things where it wasn't any big dramatic thing, but I'm sitting there like, okay, when is it socially acceptable to like, I gotta leave. It just took, it seemed like forever. Really awkward conversations. You know, the kind of thing where you talk and you're like, oh, well, I like blah, blah, blah. Do you? And they're like, no. And it was both ways.
Oh, man.
And so we get done. And we're leaving, and I was not going to say, I said, oh, thank you so much. You know, I really appreciate it. None of that. Oh, I had an awesome time. Blah, blah, blah. Didn't say that. He's like, okay, well, yeah. He kind of gave me a little hug and was like, okay, well, I'll message you and we'll talk later. And in my head, I was like, I was really hoping you would just like
ghost me,
and I never heard from you again. But then turns out that's what he did. And I never heard from him again, because I was really hoping, I was like, this can't have felt just awkward for me. Like, this had to be mutual. This was not fun. And
oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, I think, because that's exactly what I thought. After about 2-3 days, I was like, yeah, I think I remember telling Kristen, I think I'm in the clear.
I'm in the clear.
Like, I think I'm good.
We're good. That's so funny. Please ghost me. Please ghost me.
I was literally hoping he would just completely ghost me.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Alrighty.
Okay.
Man. Okay. My most awkward date.
Yes.
Ever was mostly my fault. I'm going to be honest with y'all. As far as like, I made it worse because I didn't follow my own advice. So for those of y'all who know, our friend Matt that's been on the show, like, he has teased me so much about this because he's like,
deservedly so.
Yeah, he's like, you give all this advice on the podcast and then you go set up this date and you don't follow any of it and then you want to complain. Like, I'm like, oh, dang it, I hate when he's
really
right.
Argue with the logic there.
I know, it's so annoying, and he just brings it up whenever he can, so it's great. All right, so the reason so I went out with this guy, another setup. He was so nice. It wasn't like, again, like we're talking, he's not a jerk.
No.
He wasn't mean. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, this guy's awful. No, none of that whatsoever. But it was just, I knew fairly quickly that we didn't click the way like you do with somebody that you're interested in, you know? And so we had planned to have lunch. And if I had followed my own advice, that's where I would have capped it. Like, it would have said, let's meet for lunch, and that is it. And so he had asked, though, a few days before, like, hey, what are we going to do after lunch? And I'm like, oh, God. This, again, where I should have followed my own advice of saying I had other plans. Because then you can always cancel the other plans if it goes really well. Right. And if it's not going well, then you have other plans. So we made other plans for the afternoon, and then there was a football game on that night that I really was wanting to watch because it's Tom Brady. Hello. And so he's like, we should watch the game. Well, that wasn't until 8:30 that night. We were going to lunch at 1. So I was like, okay, sure. Like, thinking, because we had like talked on the phone a lot. Like, I had, like, this will probably be fine. Well, I, like, again, knew very quickly.
It just wasn't a click.
It wasn't a click. And so, like, a couple hours in, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have 8 more hours at least that this date is going to go on. Yeah. And there's no way for me to get out of this. Like, and I don't want to be mean, but oh my word, it was so, like, I felt so terrible. And just one thing after that I didn't follow my own advice. And I just like, Kristen, you literally have a podcast about dating. And then, oh my word, I just can't even, like.
Our friend Matt had even told her, hey, we can go do XYZ after y'all, after you get done or whatever.
Go play tennis or whatever.
You've got plans later in the afternoon. Kristen was like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
No, I should have listened to him and myself. But yeah, so by the end of it, oh my gosh, I felt so terrible. And we, like, the next day, like, had it was that night and the next day, like, had the conversation of, like, I just don't think this is going to move towards anything romantic. I'm very sorry. But I just felt like a total idiot because I'm like, you literally tell people all the time to have a backup plan, to not make, like, I literally have said only make dinner dates. How many times have I said that on here?
You have.
And I didn't do it. I made a lunch date that lasted past dinner.
That is true.
And I didn't do that. I didn't know. I sucked at my own advice. And it was very, very awkward.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. The worst part about it is, like, again, just being teased for my own what's the word,
lack of follow through.
yes exactly So anyways, I'm
sorry.
It is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's your other one?
My other one was,
I feel like you're having to do a lot of editing to make that sound cohesive.
I think I can put it together.
Oh my gosh.
So I have one other one too. Mine, this was an online from an app too. Met this guy. We talked for a little while. And this was like right at the beginning of the COVID like shutdown last year. This was one of those things where we were kind of like, we better go out and hurry up or everything's going to shut down kind of thing. So it was like a day or two before everything closed. So we meet up for lunch at this restaurant, and we get there and we ended up being there for almost 3 hours, which when you tell people, they're like, oh,
wow,
that sounds promising.
Yeah.
However, of those 3 hours, I probably actually talked 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes.
Which, y'all, this is Bethany we're talking about.
I don't struggle to get my words in.
No.
Usually, at all. We all know one of my bad habits is I interrupt people. Normally, I'll just start talking if I want to say something. I couldn't get a word in. And it was this weird thing of like, it was not, so immediately when you hear that, you go to this place of like, oh my word, this guy just talked about himself the whole time. It was not that kind of thing. Everything he talked about was stuff that you would want to know about someone eventually. But it was like crammed into one date. And I seriously just, I was like, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. That was about the extent
3
of my
hours.
side of the conversation.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't even get like a opportunity to be like, okay, well, let's go.
So when would you have ended it if you could have?
I mean, probably normal, like a normal lunch, hour and a half, probably. I kept thinking I was going to get my turn.
Yeah. So you're like, I'll stick around a little longer. See if we can like flip roles here.
So we get done. We go out to the park. We walk out to the parking lot. And we were in the parking lot for probably 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
More.
Like, dude, no one to quit.
And I'm just like, ugh. So then we're standing there at my car. And he kind of like takes a step forward. And I'm not sure where this is going kind of thing. It was one of those. I was like, oh no. So I totally went for the quick hug. And what do I say then to get myself out of said awkward situation? Just call me Chandler. I'm like, well, this was fun. We should do it again sometime. I'll call you later. I literally turned around. I was like, what did I just do? I was like, it was not very fun. I don't want to do it again later. And I don't want to call you. I don't want to call you.
So what happened?
So I told him I'd call him later. We'd talk later. So obviously he's texting me. Like we talked. I was like, okay, maybe he was just nervous. I chalk a lot up to maybe he was just nervous. I give people way more benefit of a doubt than I should.
You do.
So thank you. Thank you for affirming me in that.
You're welcome. What are friends for?
We did talk on the phone a couple of times after that, and it was more of the same. So I was like, okay, no. So that, but it was, I was like, okay, I'll call you later. I had fun. I was like, no. So funny wrap up side note to that story. Probably about 3 months later, guess who pops up in a different dating app, reaches out to me. We talk. He acknowledged the previous like issues without me having to say anything. So what did I get the benefit of the doubt again? maybe it'll be different this time. Maybe he was just nervous. Let's go out again. Totally went out with him again. And now, it was better the second time, but we definitely are just better as friends, as they say.
Yes.
Then that was a mutual decision. But, oh, dear gracious. Homeboy can talk.
Oh, my gosh. And just knowing, like, I mean, obviously, y'all hear Bethany talk on here, but, like, it's different when you're, like, in a social setting than when you're on a, like, you're supposed to talk a lot on here. But, like, having someone talk to the point where Bethany can't talk is just like, I'm like, what the crap?
It's
like,
saying something.
Breathe, dude. Like, do you breathe? Yeah. I tell my brother that all the time. I'm like, take a breath. Let somebody else speak. Like, it's fine.
I've heard that a few times in my life. It's fine.
Oh, gosh. Alrighty.
So,
yeah. Fun times. Wow.
Okay.
If only we could tell them our nicknames.
I know. Y'all, we have this game we play that most of the guys we have dated in the past have nicknames, and they're really funny, and that's how we refer to them
in conversation.
It might as well be their name.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can't tell y'all.
Can't tell those. We said that was the pact we made when we started.
Did.
We would not name
We're not
names.
going to talk about people, and I think that's a very important thing. And we actually struggled with, should we even talk about these days? Because I'm like, I don't know who listens. I don't know who hears.
Right.
But
well, and there are still things like we didn't share
totally.
the entirety of because we want to be
respectful.
Yes. But yeah. Man. All right. So let's get
we
into...
don't have that obligation with these stories, though, coming up. So
they're anonymous. So
they are. And I thought people did really a good job of not, like, bashing guys.
They didn't bash anybody.
Whatever. They just
Nope.
put the facts out there and let them speak for themselves.
Yes. So let's begin.
Okay. And y'all, we have no idea where this is going to go. We have a whole laundry list of stories here. We're going to switch off reading them and... have a little commentary along the way, but y'all, these are gold.
These are so good.
Hilarious. So,
all right.
You want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So, worst date story. That's how she titles it. Could this story be classified as a date? I've always put it under the category of a sneak attack date.
That, it's going to be trouble if it starts with that statement.
Exactly. So, context. I had just gotten a summer job out of state, so I told my small group at church I would be gone for the next 3 months. One of the dudes I grew up going to church with since 6th grade, we were now in our 20s, asked me if I'd like to grab breakfast with him before I leave. To me, this was not, all caps, a date. His sister and I were good friends, and he has always been seen by me as like my little brother. So we pick a morning before I had to be at work, and we're going to meet at a local place close to my work. I got there before the dude, walk in, and see all the elders from our church sitting in the restaurant.
So now, but just to clarify, he had not called them all there.
No.
They just happened
to be there.
Which, even if it's the best date of your life, it's going to be awkward.
Exactly,
because
the
of that.
elders are all sitting in like 2 booths over. So she says, my pastor sees me walk in, smiles, and waves me over to say hello. As I'm saying hello, the dude walks in. Facepalm emoji. I whisper to the pastor, who is like a second father to me, I think I just got tricked into a date with this dude. To which my pastor responds, he'll probably ask you to marry him. Then she goes on, well, here are the highlights from the date.
Oh, no.
He did not pay for my food. He talked about himself pretty much the whole time. I finished my entire meal before he asked, so how was this? I told him I didn't know.
What?
That's what she said.
Okay.
Dang it. That's not what I meant.
Okay.
For once, that's not what I meant. She's like, I told him I didn't know what he meant. Well, he responded, having breakfast with me. She says, it was like eating with my brother.
Oh, she said that to him?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So he then tells her that what he's looking for in a wife and who he planned on asking out next in our friend group.
So he acknowledges it was a date and then proceeds to tell her who's next.
After he tells her what he's looking for in a wife. So I was like, does he tell her that because he's like, oh, well,
help me out here?
Help me out? Or, well, this is what I'm looking for and you don't like. I feel like she would have probably included that if he had said like, this is what I'm looking for and you're not
don't
it.
Measure up. Oh my word. Can you you imagine walking into, I don't know, IHOP, where you're going.
Yeah.
You're having breakfast. Half your church is there. Which means I think that would be the worst part of this for me. The most awkward part is having to explain not to the elders, to their wives, because you know they went home and said,
I saw
Susie with
so and so,
with Tommy or whatever,
Bobby.
I saw them together at the IHOP, and you're gonna have to explain to all of them
that it was not a date.
And see, that's a tough thing too. Is like, not only was it not a date, but it was like, how do you? It's hard to. People are like, oh, well, why not? Why didn't it work out? And then you have to try to tell them about this other person that they know without being mean, without painting them in a bad light. I mean, the guy wasn't a jerk, but like, still, without making him sound bad. Oh,
I know.
That's awful.
Well, and then I'm like, okay, he clearly thought it was a date. So why did he not pay for her food?
I don't know.
Let's circle back to that for a second. Like, I mean, if you ask a girl to go eat a meal with you or partake in some sort of sustenance, coffee, whatever, you initiate that, you should at least offer at the very least.
And make it obvious.
Yeah.
Not just sit and wait and hope and think maybe.
No.
I did have a friend, and it's not in our notes. We didn't get this one, but she did go on a date with a guy. Obviously a date, like, no two ways about it. Mm-hmm. They sit there, the waiter brings the check because there's sets it down, and it just sits there.
Oh heck no.
Like, waiting.
That's
He never makes
so
a move
awkward.
for it. She wasn't going
obviously.
I mean, it got to the point where she was like, okay, I am ready to go.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of like, so were you wanting to like split this or like? And he's like, oh yeah, that would be great if you don't mind.
Oh my!
Can you imagine? Like,
no.
I was like, oh no second dates for you.
I would have been like, I gotta go to the bathroom if you want to take care of this, and then we can go.
Yes.
So badly at that point, and be like, dude, what the heck?
I know. Okay.
Even Gabe, who we had all this like big conversation with in the Men Tell All, he even agreed. You ask a girl on a first date,
you pay for it.
You pay for it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And it's not because we're trying to be like high maintenance. It's just that is common courtesy.
Yes, and that's what if I ask a guy out, I kind of would feel like, oh, should I pay for this?
Yeah.
Like, totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next story.
This one says, okay. Whew, this is one of my favorites.
Brought me to tears.
I've been in this place, and so I'm like,
not exactly.
Okay, not exactly. You'll see why in a second. Okay. It says, okay, so I was dating this guy that was super nice. On paper, he was exactly what I wanted. He was very involved at church, was physically fit and active, wanted a family, and was the real deal Christian. There was just one problem. I wasn't feeling it. I just was not attracted to him. He took me to Chili's. Fun. And I threw up in the bathroom from anxiety. Oh, poor girl.
Poor girl.
I have not been to that extreme of this, but I get what she's saying. She's like, I stayed with him because he was so great, hoping I would get over it. Nope. I threw up for like 10 months every time I went to see him. It was like a long distance thing, apparently. And she's like, I felt like he was my last chance to get married, and I had to make it work. After wise counsel, I finally ended it and immediately lost my anxiety and felt better than I had in a year. Like, can you imagine? I would just like to ask this girl if she will do a master class on patience and perseverance.
For
because
real.
I'm telling you right now, there ain't going to be no 10 months if I'm throwing up every
time I see him.
I go to see this guy.
Do you think he knew? Like, if you go to visit a guy, like you go to his house, you're like, hold on, can I use your bathroom? Like, I am not a quiet thrower-upper, okay? Like, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But read the last line.
Okay, yeah. So she says, but now, 4 years later, I'm married to someone who doesn't make me barf. The things we didn't even know we needed to put on our lists.
The non-negotiables.
That was
not the
definitely
preferences. That's a non-negotiable.
Can you imagine?
No. Oh my god.
I would have ulcers just from the dread. I don't know what I would dread more after a certain point. Going to see the guy or knowing that I'm going to puke on the way.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would dread that more. And I just...
Oh my gosh. Well, then, okay, so then I have so many follow-up questions. Like, if you're there for a few days, do you throw up every single day? Do you just throw up, like, the first time you see him? Does it, like, hit you multiple times a day? I mean, are you just, like, that?
Oh, I can't imagine being
That's
that much turmoil.
Terrible feeling. Like, to be that, like... like this is a different kind of anxiousness, but I feel like every time, I realize this is very different, but this is just for different reference point. Like before I go to a basketball game that I either played in or coached in, I got the worst feeling in my stomach all day long. Like, and it's just this, like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk to anybody. I am so, like, your heart is pounding all day long. You feel like you're gonna either like need to go to the bathroom or like go throw up, one of the two. And it's just like, oh, and to think like your boyfriend's causing you to feel that way. Like, and sounds like much worse than just me going to a basketball game. Like, there's a very different, but I'm like, oh my gosh, this poor girl. But good for you for, like, there is something to be said, because I feel like how many times am I going to say the older we get? Like, golly, you encroach on 30 and these are the things you start saying. But we start to be a little more like, oh, I have to make this work, because what if there's not somebody else? And so for the fact that you are not going to settle for being with a guy who makes you throw up every time you see him just because like you feel like you need to be with him. Yeah. And then it all worked out fine. But like there's something to be said for like not just like that's something you pay attention to if you're having that kind of a bodily reaction to somebody.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of like we talked about in the attraction episode last week, that, you know, it's fine if it makes sense on paper. And I think we feel a pressure to make it work because it makes sense on paper. And there's only so many people out there that this is going to make sense with. Yeah. So you just suck it up and make it work. And this is what you end up with. And this one, I'm just like, oh, I can relate, but not to that extent. And that one's a tough one.
Yes. But very happy she's married to a non-barf inducing man. Good for you.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. Okay. Next story. OMG. I had the most awkward first date a couple of years ago. It was a guy I met at camp. I didn't know him super well, but he seemed nice, so I agreed to go out with him. He picked me up dressed in the exact same outfit he wears at camp. A cut-off camp shirt. A cut-off t-shirt. Oh my gosh. A cut-off camp shirt, khaki shorts, and work boots.
Was he afraid she wouldn't recognize him, maybe? Like, oh, I better wear my uniform or she might not know it's me.
Yes, oh my gosh. She's like, meanwhile, I'm dressed for a nice dinner. And he tells me we're going mini golfing.
Which, okay, mini golf is a fun date, but you gotta know that's what you're doing ahead of time.
Exactly.
You don't want to show up in a park with a cute outfit on.
Yes, guys, if you are listening, even if you want to surprise a girl for a date, you need to tell her what she needs to wear.
Absolutely. And if you tell her that without her having to ask,
oh my gosh,
major brownie points.
For real. I remember going, it was my best first date, which maybe I'll talk about that later. Okay. But he didn't tell me what, he told me we were going to eat and then we were doing something fun afterwards. And I was like, okay, I need you to tell me what I need to wear, because do I need to wear sneakers? Like, do I need to, like, whatever? And he was so great. And he told me what to wear, and it was so fun. And what I wear worked. Yeah. What I wore worked perfectly. So if you're going to surprise a girl, if you're not going to tell her what you're doing, you need to at least tell her how to dress.
Yes.
So, okay. So they're going mini golfing.
Mini golf place.
Yes. She's like, so we do that. We go mini golfing. We mini golf, but then when we're done, he takes me to another mini golf place because the first one apparently didn't take long enough.
Can't you just like play the first one again?
Correct. Okay. Trying to mix it up. She's like, it's like 8 p.m. at this point, and I am hangry. Yeah. So we get to dinner, and while we're there, he asks. I'm sorry. He asks if it's okay if he stops at Walmart to pick some water up for work tomorrow. Which I'm like, what? Don't you have water in your, like, I mean do you not want to drink tap water? I don't You show up in khaki shorts and a cutoff t-shirt and you don't want to drink tap water?
I'm going to need to get some PG water on the way back. Okay. I don't mind. Now, one, we know I love grocery shopping. So yes. I don't mind this if it's obvious the date is like going super well. Mm-hmm. But so far we've got not that. No. So read the room. Exactly. I think a lot of these would be fixed if the guys would just read the room.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe we'll do a backstage pass on that.
Maybe. All right, so we keep going. So she says, sure, go ahead. Get all your groceries. Am I right? But on the way home from the grocery store, this is my favorite part of the story, he tells me that his mom FBI stalked me on Facebook and knows all this stuff about me.
His mother?
His mother.
He told her that.
Told her that in the car. Which I'm like, hard pass. No, thank you.
Okay, it's one thing if his mom did that.
Yeah.
And, oh, we've been dating for 6 months. Oh, you want to hear a really funny thing when we first started going
Yes.
out? That's a cute little story.
That's cute.
First date, when you have her in your car on the way home and you hardly know this person, not the right time to be like, oh, hey, by the way, my mother stalked you.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe not.
Exactly. So she's like, finally, he drops me off. I'm trying so hard to get into my house as quickly as possible. So he gets out of the car, gives me the most awkward side hug ever. And that I finally walked in my door. It was the longest night of my entire life, but has made for the greatest story ever. That's a lot going on in one day.
Is.
Too many golf courses, a trip to Walmart, and finding out that his mom Facebook stalked you, and dinner. Dinner seemed uneventful, though, compared to the rest of the night.
That's true. I didn't get...
Good gracious. Poor thing. Yeah, that's... It's interesting to me that a guy's mom would, like, one, find out that quickly.
Yeah.
And then that would be her first... And then for her to tell him, hey, I just...
There's several things that come to mind for me with this little bit of information we have. Either he lived in his mom's basement. He doesn't date much, so his mother's like, oh my word, finally a girl. She's like, I didn't think that camp shirt and khakis were ever gonna work for anyone, but he's found one. Unbeknownst to her, it was not working.
It was not working.
So, or he brings home a lot of weirdos, and his mom was like, finally a normal person,
a normal one.
So
and got excited.
Yeah.
Whew, wow. Alrighty.
Anyway,
What
that
a
one
fun
is a doozy. Okay, are we ready for the next one?
I am.
This girl says, I've got plenty of date fails, but I think the most bizarre one was a guy from Tinder. And y'all, when you hear this, you are going to agree this is the most bizarre one we've got today, by far. Okay. I'm sorry. It says, he was the nicest little country guy, but on our second date, he, all caps, begged me to put makeup on him. She's
Sorry.
like,
Hold it together, Kristen.
can you imagine?
No.
She's like, I really thought he was joking, so I played along. Nope, he was serious. She's like, I ended up giving him some mascara out of panic. I would have too. I've been like, here, take whatever you want on the way out.
I'll go to CVS tomorrow and restock. It's fine.
Oh, my word. She's like, after the date, I think I scratched my head in confusion until bedtime. You and me both, sister.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
How do you even sleep after that?
No kidding. I'd be like, lock all the doors and lock them again. She's like, flash forward to now, and this guy is happily married to the cutest girl. Me? I'm single as a Pringle. I love it. Man. Oh.
I read this to Lauren, and she was like, well, that seems like life. Oh, my gosh.
Right?
Oh,
can you imagine? I think we say that after every one.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
But seriously. Can you imagine? You're in this situation.
Oh, my word.
You've gone to dinner. Let's say you came back to your place. You're kind of hanging out. Second date. So the first one obviously went okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, and he's like, oh, I really want you to put some makeup on me. What would you do? I would assume he was joking. I think I'd do the same thing. I was like, oh, okay, hold on. Let me go get my makeup bag.
Be like, that's what my brother told me when he was 5. Like,
yeah. Ha ha.
Ha ha.
And then you find out, oh no, he's serious. Then what do you do?
I go throw up in the bathroom.
And we're back to our previous story.
Sorry, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to need you to leave.
Yeah, I think I would totally be like, no, I'm not doing that.
I don't feel comfortable with that.
No.
But yeah.
Hope you have a nice life.
Yeah, I'm going to go to sleep now. So if you could leave, you have a wonderful drive home.
Yeah, I would be single as a Pringle over that too.
I have no idea.
I don't either. I think I'd be so shocked. I'd be like, okay, who's punking me?
Yeah. Because I feel like, I'm such a terrible, like, liar, and I'm such a terrible, like, play it cool in the moment kind of a person. So to have to, like, not be mean, but also not make it sound like I'm okay with it. I have no idea.
I don't either. I would be so shell-shocked.
I'd never get on Tinder again. I know that.
For sure. I'd be like, no, thank you.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Man, girl, I have a lot of respect for you figuring out how to get out of that. Good night.
Yeah.
Okay, this one.
Kristen's been excited about this one.
I have.
Since we started.
Well, you'll see at the end. Okay, so this girl, a lot of these are second date stories,
yes.
which I think is so funny. So she says, I have an embarrassing/funny second date story. I met a guy through an online dating site, and the second time we went out, we went to Starbucks and talked while sipping our drinks. Totally normal. After a while, he mentioned he was thinking about looking at one of his fields as he is a farmer and asked if I wanted to go with him. So I said yes. We headed out into the country to look at his field. On the way, though, my drink obviously was running through me pretty quickly because by the time we got to the field, I had to pee. There were no bathrooms around, and I wasn't going to get him to drive around trying to find me one. I grew up in the country with 4 brothers, and I knew I had tissues and hand sanitizer in my purse, so I decided I would find a bush.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
However, the bushes were far enough away that he would definitely notice if I disappeared, and I didn't want him to come looking for me, so I had to tell him my situation.
Don't want him hello,
and you're squatting.
You're like, I'll be back in just a minute.
Give me 2 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
She's like, so I had to tell him my situation. He then parked his truck in a way that I could hide behind it while he looked at his field.
Oh.
So on my second date with the guy I didn't know prior to dating, I peed behind his truck. For him, it must have been a positive, though, because we're still dating, so it obviously didn't turn him off.
I love it.
I love this so much.
That is too funny.
Which?
Well, I mean, like, he's probably like, good for you for being self-sufficient. He's a farmer. He probably liked the self-sufficiency, the preparedness. Like,
it's true.
I mean,
you learn a lot about a girl if she can pee behind your truck.
Yeah. Seriously, though. I'd be like, yeah, we're going to need to go find a bathroom.
Yeah, I'm going to need to, I don't know what I would do. Because I have like PTSD from trying to pee in the woods when I was 4.
Wait. Pause on these stories, please.
So
do tell.
All right. So I started playing t-ball when I was 4. My dad coached me, I think. Yeah, he was like the assistant coach or something. No, I think he had coached me. It doesn't matter. Anyways, he took me to t-ball practice. Okay. And wherever we were having to practice at a different field than we normally did, and they didn't have bathrooms.
Oh no. And
I had to pee. So
oh my goodness.
I literally remember this so vividly. This might be my first memory, honestly. But he takes me over to the woods and has me like pull my pants down around my ankles and like tells me to squat and pee. I'm like, Dad, it's not that easy. Like, boys can aim and girls can't. So I pee like all over my leg. I like get my panties like
little 4-year-old you.
So mortified. And my dad gets mad because he's like, why are you peeing on me? I'm like, I cannot aim. I don't understand why this is so hard to like for you to comprehend. And so I like finish whatever and then pull my pants up. I've got like, I probably smell terrible. It was awful. And I have not peed not in a bathroom since.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want to go camping where I have to pee outside.
Yep.
That's why I wouldn't do this.
Nope.
And yeah, it was just very traumatic for me at 4 years old to have to pee in the woods. So
yeah. I'm trying to think. I think I have used the bathroom outside like that once in my life.
All I remember is when Melanie had to do it out on the way.
Oh my word. That
is she gonna kill me for saying
probably.
That? Yeah, y'all, we were on our way to a cabin and we had gotten lost in the neighborhood and Melanie had to pee for probably 30 minutes at least, and she was literally about to pee her pants. She's like, I need you to pull over right now.
We totally had to stop the car,
pulled over into the grass, and she ran behind some trees and squatted and peed, and we were literally half a mile from the house. She's like, I cannot make it.
Yeah.
So, and she gets back in the car. We will speak of this to no one.
So we were like, okay, fine.
It's like a pact. I'm like, do we all need to like
sign in blood?
Yeah, sign in blood. But yeah. So, but all of that to say, this girl.
And they're still dating.
I know.
Which
I love it.
love.
I love it so
That's
much.
so great. Okay,
Good for y'all.
We have now talked about peeing in the woods, probably more than any of y'all ever thought we would on anything we ever did here. So,
all right. Yes.
let's. Okay.
Yeah. Next one.
Next one. Here we go.
Oh, this girl. I was at the end. I'm like, yes, girl power, go, whatever. But yes, I'm giving things away.
Okay.
Sorry.
She says, I matched with this guy on Bumble. The date was over Skype, so it was already a little awkward. At one point, he was telling me how he likes to hunt and asked if I've eaten moose before. I said that eating moose weirded me out, and he told me that I'd, quote, prepare the meat he hunted. Which,
okay.
That's
Nope.
one thing. It's like, okay, like, let's talk about this. Like, I'm not going to be a kept woman in your kitchen just doing whatever, but like, maybe he didn't mean it like that. Like, that alone, you could flesh it out and come back from, I think, right? That
Maybe.
alone.
Yeah.
But then she goes on to say, he also told me how he thought aliens were real and 9/11 was an inside job. And I can't imagine what other conspiracy theories he told her.
Oh my gosh.
She said before the date, he also asked if I'd be a Titus 2:5 wife. And I said, to an Ephesians 5:25 man, I would be.
Yes,
I'm like,
girl.
you tell him.
Yes.
I love that.
Would you be a Titus 2:5 wife? I will be if you're a Ephesians 5:25 husband. You're like, let's read.
I'd be like, I don't know. I'll ask the aliens and get back to you.
I'll ask the aliens. Oh my word. There are so many things I'm like, this is why I feel like phone dates are so important. But like only phone.
Well, this was Skype.
I know, but I'm saying if you could do this on the phone, then you could hide your facial expression.
Oh, okay. I will say, I have had a lot of, initial phone conversations with guys that did not progress to actual dates where you're talking and you literally, I'm like pulling the phone away from my face and I'm like, oh my word.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yes.
But yes, any date that involves talking about preparing moose meat, aliens, and whether or not 9/11 was an inside job, probably ought to space those out. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't overwhelm anyone with all of that on the first date, especially if your opinions on said things are slightly in the minority.
Yeah.
Shall we put it that way?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
I tell you, some of these
nicer way to put it than what I was thinking.
Some of these girls, I'm like, really, y'all need to help us with a class on like patience and just being classy. Like,
well, what's so interesting to me is because like obviously a lot of these are either from online, so you've been talking to somebody to some extent before you meet them, or they're second dates. Which means initially these guys give good first impressions.
True.
And then you find out he believes in aliens.
Or have we told them enough? Just give it a second chance. And they did. And now it's like,
man.
Oh.
If that's the case, we're very sorry. We feel slightly responsible.
Maybe don't listen to that as much anymore.
Yes. All right. Okay. Let's move on. Another Starbucks date.
Okay.
So this girl says, I finally accepted to go on a first date with someone I had been texting on and off on a dating app. We met up at a Starbucks nearby. I got there first, which can I say, I'm proud of these girls for getting there first because I think it's a smart move. We talk about that in our safety episode we did forever ago.
Yep.
Never hurts to get there first. But she gets there first. She says, when I saw him, he wasn't what I really expected him to look like in person, and I could tell he probably was not my type. Well, we get inside. He orders for himself first, simple black coffee. That was it. He informed me he usually always wants the cheapest things on the menu.
Oh, dear.
He didn't offer to pay for my coffee and purposefully informed the Starbucks lady that was all he was ordering. So you gotta make a point.
Brother, dude.
So she goes on. The Starbucks lady looked at me and I think read my mind because she made a face like she understood and felt sorry for me. The rest of the date we sat and talked, but it was a very awkward conversation. Thank goodness it was only an hour because I had to get to work. Good for you for having your thing to do afterwards.
And sticking to it.
Oh my gosh. He gave me an awkward hug at the end. I did not text him after that and hoped it was clear I wasn't interested. However, he was apparently, because he asked if I wanted to go on a date and do something, quote, reasonable, aka cheap. I had to gently tell him I was not interested.
Okay, you know, in reading that, and there was another one about with like paying and stuff like that, I actually have a lot more. I will give the alien guy the benefit of the doubt quicker than I will these guys. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
We've talked about I chalk too much up to being nervous, so maybe I should learn from my own mistakes. But I would chalk up weird conversations like that to just being nervous. Not paying for something, and this whole thing of like, oh, well, this is all I'm getting, and I always get the cheapest thing on the menu. And what, all of those, and not paying for food and all of that, all of those things require forethought.
Yes.
Of I'm not going to do this. The
Yep.
other is spur of the moment. Oh my word, I can't believe I just said that. I will give that guy the benefit of the doubt a whole lot quicker than this guy.
I would 100%. That's a great point. Because if it's just like, because I think about, there have been times where I've been on a date or I've been on a phone call and then I get off like, Krista, why the heck did you say that? There's a very good chance that, or at least somewhat of a good chance, I don't know, that he got off the phone and like, why the crap did I talk about aliens with this girl? For you to boldly say, I'm getting a black coffee and that's all, and you went first, like, that's
you
just, that's rude.
Yeah, you don't accidentally not pay for your date's food.
No. And then like, oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I
have no sympathy for those guys, and I have all the sympathy in the world for those girls, because that is one of the most awkward date situations to find yourself in.
Yes.
Because everyone in there, everyone involved, the waitress, whoever, just barista, they all know it's a date.
I know. It's
and
so
they all
embarrassing.
feel awkward and sorry for you, and then you're just,
well, and I'm convinced too, because, you know, I get that money can be tight for people and whatever. I am not saying that you need to nickel and dime the guy you're dating with. However, I remember when I was dating my ex, he was still in college at the time.
Yeah.
And he had a part-time job, I think, because he was an athlete, so he couldn't really work. I never paid for a dang thing the whole time we dated. And I'm working full time. Like, I'm already out of school, and we went and did stuff everywhere we ate, every time we got coffee, I never bought a single thing for him because he would not let me. Yeah. And I know that was like somewhat of a sacrifice for him. So you can't tell me that unless you are literally like waiting for your paycheck to come in tomorrow, okay, that you can't spare $4 or $5 for a cup of coffee. Like, yeah, it's just it's not that hard.
No, it's not.
Even if all your first 5 dates need to be coffee, that's fine. Like, just, you know, just the fact that you are making the effort and making the point is appreciated.
Absolutely.
So just keep that in mind.
Okay, wrapping up here.
Couple
more. So the next one, she says it was her first ever online date. So they're going to play putt-putt first, which mini golf is a great date. Yeah. I know we kind of gave it a hard time earlier. I've been on mini golf dates. Yep. It's really fun if you know what's going on. So
yes.
Anyway, she had told him in their talking previously that she hated if someone let her win. Like if a guy let her win at something. Yeah. So they're at putt-putt. They're going along. Not only is he like, he's not even subtle about it, but he's like, obviously he's changing rules. He's doing all this stuff to like, so that she can win at putt-putt. So she's already kind of annoyed, right? Yeah. Like, I told him I hate this, and now he's letting me win. So he asks her while they're there if she likes Thai food. She's like, well, I've never had it, so I don't know, but you know, whatever. So they decide to go to a Thai restaurant for dinner. So they leave mini golf where he let her win, and they go to this Thai restaurant, and she had mentioned she's never eaten there. So they get there, get sat down, she gets up to go to the restroom, and she comes back, and he has ordered food for her while she was in the bathroom.
Did he even ask like what she liked?
She'd never had Thai food before. She didn't know what she liked. He ordered.
Oh my gosh!
I find it slightly endearing when a guy's like, "Oh, what are you gonna have?" and then he orders for both of you.
Yeah.
But he asks you, "What are you going
to order?" Not let me order just pick stuff. What do you pick some weird meat or something?
I feel like that's like strike 2. For strike 1, let her win.
Yeah.
At golf. Strike 2, orders for her while she's in the bathroom. So then, to top it off, strike 3, their food comes. They're sitting there, and it's hot, obviously. And he tells her, oh, you need to blow off your food before you eat because it's hot. And she's like, no, thank you. I'm an adult. I know how to eat food. Like,
yeah.
What in the world? Strike 3. Dude's
oh my
done.
gosh.
Like, can you imagine?
Like, how? Oh my word. There is a line between being caring and sweet and endearing, and in being
controlling and overbearing,
and like a parent to a 5-year-old.
Yes.
Let me change the rules for Puppet so you can beat me.
Yeah.
Here, make sure you blow on your food. It's hot. Do I look like a toddler? Like, what is your deal?
I know. I'm slightly offended here.
Oh my gosh.
Needless to say, there were no more dates for this guy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious.
Man.
People. Okay. Last one. All right. So this was a phone date during COVID. All right.
Okay.
She says.
This one is a doozy, y'all.
She says he moved fast and really wanted to talk on the phone rather quickly. So I agreed. I also had a drink prior to the call.
Oh, no.
So please keep that in mind.
She's feeling a little emboldened.
Yes. She's like, I was feeling very bold. But she's like, I knew within a few minutes this ain't it. But I can talk to anybody for an hour, right? Now, halfway through, the drink kicks in. And I'm carrying the conversation because he's very boring. So I'm talking about Disney parks and how I like to go to Disney once a year. And I go with my best friend. And usually we try to go to Universal, too, because we love Harry Potter World.
Okay.
Well, he says he's never been. So I asked if he'd seen the movies or read the books. And he replies, no, I wasn't allowed to read the books or watch the movies growing up. Actually, we weren't even allowed to own the books.
Well, that makes sense. If you're not allowed to read them, why own them?
Why own them? Okay. She goes, at this point, it's starting to click about what's happening. But he goes on. He says, actually, someone had given me a copy of the Chamber of Secrets.
Is that the first one?
I have no idea.
Okay, me either.
But he did ask if that was a Harry Potter book. And she's like, yeah, it's
okay,
one of the most popular one. That's what I said. I'm like, yeah. I know that. So he goes, but my parents didn't want me to read it, so they put it in the attic. Well, one night we all heard noises coming from the attic, and we traced it to the book. So to get rid of the demonic paperback, we set it on fire in our backyard in the middle of the night.
No. He tells her this?
He tells her this. She's like, he's dead serious the whole time. And then she goes, you know, I'm looking at all my copies of Harry Potter that have been in my room since middle school, and they've never made a peep. He laughed and said, that's interesting. And then I changed the subject. Needless to say, that was the last time we talked. You really need to make sure you're lined up on the important things in life.
That's the best one. Oh, my word.
You burned a Harry Potter book in your backyard in the middle of the night because you thought it was making noises.
Okay, I'll be like, okay, hold up. Now, can you walk me through this process of tracing it to the book?
Yeah.
I would love to know.
Like, did you pick up the book and the noise carried with it? Like,
because there's no way it was a squirrel up there or anything like that.
Or a rat or a bird or a cricket.
Oh, just something creaking up there.
A pipe maybe.
We traced it to the book.
To the book.
And it had to be destroyed.
I love that he calls it the demonic paperback.
Like, oh, my word.
Oh, gracious.
Well, and
the look on your face right now.
I know a lot of people, myself being one of them, who weren't allowed to read the books or watch the movies or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, come to find out in my situation, my parents were just like, no, you can't watch them. And then I watched them as an adult and they were like, were they good? They're like, we never actually watched them. We just didn't let y'all because we didn't know. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Thanks. That's great. Missed out on a huge part of what could have been my childhood.
But like, that's a more widespread idea.
For sure.
We're not going to watch it.
For sure.
Fine. But to like tell someone totally straight face that you burned books in your backyard because they were making noises in your attic, like,
that's like true crime podcast stuff.
That's a bit of a stretch. Like, again, read the room.
Can we do an episode called that?
Yes, we totally need to. Read the room.
Season
Put
7.
It on the list.
Okay.
Like, she literally just told him we go once a year because we love it so much.
And I'm going to tell you, we burned the book in our backyard. And you want this date to go well? Like, was he enjoying himself, or was he trying to sabotage it?
See, that makes you wonder.
Oh my goodness gracious.
That has got to be. Oh, that is funny. That one, I think that one may be my favorite one.
I think so too. I'm glad we ended with that one.
That's hysterical. Burn the demonic paperback.
What do you do if you're their neighbors? Like,
right?
What, they decide to have a bonfire at 3 in the morning?
What are they burning? Yeah, exactly.
Because paper stinks when you burn it. Oh, man. That's fantastic. All right, guys. We'll wrap it there.
Wrap the episode.
There's no wrap the season.
Wrap the season. All of it.
Wrap dating for me for the foreseeable future. If this is what I have to look forward to.
Sit at home and go nowhere.
Yeah. I'll enjoy my summer of singleness.
Right?
So I don't have to talk to any book burners or, alien believers or non-paying
guys
cheapskates.
who want mascara on a first date.
The only guy I like out of this is the guy who parked his truck for the girl to pee. That's the only one I'm like, you're a good one. You're a good one.
My goodness.
Happy for y'all if you're listening. And
yes, hopefully you still are together by the time this airs. Yeah.
Yes. So.
Oh my goodness gracious.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for those of you who sent stories in. This was so fun. Thank y'all for listening and for sticking around for another season. It was a fun one. So, like we said, we'll be off for the next month, but check back in July where we'll pick up with some couch casts. We do have a backstage pass that'll come out this Friday. Yes. But then after that, we'll go on a little break. So, don't worry though. We'll be back. Go back in the archives if you miss us too much. Yeah. There's plenty there.
And if we feel real ambitious, maybe we'll re-release some episodes.
Maybe.
For June.
That's true.
Schedule some of those. You guys can listen to them again.
That's true. It's very true. All right. Well, y'all have a fantastic week. Memorial Day is coming up soon.
Yes.
Enjoy the holiday weekend. And we'll talk to y'all soon. But until next time, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bethany.
And this is Looking for the Middle.